All right, it's the top of the hour and we are going to get started. So, first of all, the lovely background is from the show The Office. And I will say this, if you're doing virtual events, which we're going to talk about today, don't use a virtual background unless you have a green screen, because see, look, wow, wow, wow. It looks kind of weird. It looks like I'm like plastered on here. It doesn't look right. So let's see, choose virtual background. None. Now there's the real thing. Dogs, crooked picture, hummingbird, kid. All right. Let me get rid of this. Hi, kid. Yeah. We'll just go with this. Okay. All right. Deep dive number 3, virtual events and online programs to gather your local audience, referral sources, and consumers. We have had a lot of requests from our clients to help them get together some virtual events, and we're happy to do it. I love doing virtual events. Let's just put this in perspective. We have a business that is nationwide, and this right here, what you're watching, is how we have grown our business for 12 years. I have done webinar for ages and ages, and interviews and live video and recorded videos. And so video is really a huge part of what we do. And I know that if you are willing, that you can also benefit from this, not just now in this time of pandemic, but also moving forward in the future. People have limited amounts of time, and many times you can actually get to them easier if you have a video they can watch. There will always be a subset of people who will not watch a video, but most people will. So where's your audience right now? Both consumers and your referral sources are on their screens, because that's the only thing they can do, really. And I realize that some of our restrictions are being lifted and things are slowly going to get back to normal. But my message is that we are going to have not only other probably pandemics, but this one may rear its ugly head again this fall. And just in general, having content and having online videos that are with you in them or speaking is really important. I also want you to notice that what you see mainly here should be my screen, because I'm sharing my screen. And then you see my little head wherever I am on your screen, my little square, which is fine. You don't have to show yourself at all. So if you're camera shy, all you have to do for any of these webinar platforms is stop showing your video. And now I've disappeared and you can't see me, but I'm okay with that. So where's your audience right now? They're on their screens. So it's time to up your game and maybe save some money in the process. Okay, I'm going to revisit this graphic because this holds true for almost everything we've talked about. Every deep dive we've done talks about where your referrals and your leads are coming from. They're coming from Facebook, they're coming from your website, from Google, your email list, your referral sources, your e-newsletter, and right now we have this crossed off, in-person networking. It's still going to be a challenge, especially for long-term care facilities and hospitals. They are not going to reopen their doors for a while, even though other things are open or are slowly but surely opening. A lot of folks are not going to be accessible for a long period of time. So that's why this is important to get started now, so that moving down the road, people will be accustomed to seeing your face and getting invitations, and they'll love it. Okay, so we know that 1 in 4 households are dealing with elder care. This is our funnel. The size of our audience is big here, and as we go down the row here, we have a smaller and smaller set of leads. These are the phases that people go through when they're seeking care. Today, we're going to talk about both consumer virtual events and referral source virtual events. Most of you are pretty concerned about being out there for your referral sources and how to connect with them when you can't see them in person. So this is really going to help. Also, our philosophy, the sales, marketing, and recruiting philosophy that works is that your website should be the hub for everything you do. And that includes invitations to online events. And your CRM, whatever your CRM is that you use, should deliver the message. And that equals increased revenue. This has worked for us for 12 years. I get it that we're in a different sort of business than you are, but you are our audience. And so I know that for the folks out there who have been really getting involved, I'm going to show you an example in just a second. In this kind of virtual event, they have been reaching out and seeing their referral sources just like nothing ever happened. All right, so what is a CRM? A CRM is a contact relationship management platform. It could be an Excel spreadsheet, Outlook, Gmail, Constant Contact, ClearCare Online, HubSpot, or our Smart CRM. We have a CRM that has been developed that we customize for the home care market, senior care, assisted living. All the folks that fall under those umbrellas can use our Smart CRM. But everyone has their own needs and preferences. So whatever CRM you use, except for Excel spreadsheets, they should do most of what I'm talking about today. All right, so we know our target audiences for virtual events are going to be adult children of aging parents, family members of people needing care, potential and existing referral sources, and of course, even recruiting caregivers. People are asking me, how are other folks doing interviews, virtual interviews these days? Here's the deal. We're on Zoom right now, and I get it that Zoom has had a lot of privacy issues and all kinds of other things. In the last 3 weeks, they have upped their game considerably. Everything's encrypted. So Zoom might be an option for you. There are platforms out there that are designed to interview people, designed for virtual interviews. Usually, and you may have one, you may know of one. Usually those are expensive, and typically it's when you are hiring a large volume of people that you would use one of those, and they're not always intuitive. And also know that most of the people that you all are interviewing are probably not sitting in front of a desktop. They're on their cell phone, they're on their smartphone. So whatever you use needs to have an app that's easy to download, easy to access, and is on their smartphone. So anyway, having said that, target audiences for virtual events go all the way across from adult children of aging parents, your referral sources, to recruiting. So this sales funnel we're going to talk about is specific to virtual events. So you have leads coming in from Facebook, your website, Google, your email list, invitations that you're sending out about your virtual events. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. LinkedIn, all these different places. You have people coming in who might want to attend your virtual event. They're coming in from everywhere. If you're doing a good job of spreading the word about it, then people are signing up for your webinar or your virtual event from all over the place. If you keep those leads organized, keep the referral sources organized, keep the leads organized, know what they've signed up for and what they haven't, they go into your CRM, your contact relationship management system, and your contact relationship management system spits out email drip campaigns, event reminders. You have to remind people, monthly newsletters in between your virtual events, and one-time emails and texts. So having an organized system to begin with helps you get the most attendees, and it helps you follow up with them automatically afterwards, and it helps you get them to attend your next event and your next event. So being organized is really important. I am not the queen of organization, but I can tell you that having done this for a gazillion years, we're pretty good at it. Okay, next tip, start this process 2 weeks in advance. If you tell me or anyone the day before the event that you're going to have this event, that's not going to work very well. 2 weeks in advance. And I'm going to tell you why. There's some steps you need to go through. As you get really good at it, You can do it a lot closer to the event. But 2 weeks in advance gives you time to prep if you are not accustomed to doing this. And I would suggest also scheduling several. One a month would be great. And start scheduling them and start getting them organized in advance. Have some kind of maybe like we're doing deep dives. So we did a big webinar that talked about the pivot in your marketing strategy when you can't see your referral sources and during a pandemic. We talked about making that pivot and doing more online marketing. And in each of our deep dives in this series, we've taken on another subject matter that's important to everybody. And this one is about virtual events. So have maybe a series. Maybe you're going to talk about maybe you're going to offer CEUs. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. By the way, if you have a question as I go, you're welcome to ask it. It's in the Q&A section on your little dashboard. If you type in a question on the Q&A dashboard, don't wait till the end because I'll take all the questions in the order they were received. You don't have to wait, just type it in there and I will answer the questions at the end, okay? Okay, here's my favorite process. This is how we have done event marketing, online event marketing for years and years and years, and you can do it too. First of all, there's some decisions you have to make. I'm going to go through those. And then once you've made those decisions, you create your invitation, you email it out at least two times. I do that all the time with typos. I know. Social media, you need to put it out there on social media close to the event. Then you have your webinar event like we're doing right now. Then you have your follow-up, which should be automated. And then you post your recording. And let everybody see it out there. Make sure it's everywhere. We're going to talk about these steps, and I'm going to show you some real-life examples, okay? All right, step one is your decision-making. Let me make sure I get all these up here. Okay, first of all, obviously, you have to decide on your topic, and you have to decide whether this is going to be professionals or consumers that you are targeting. CEUs versus no CEUs. For professionals and referral sources, I highly recommend that you give away one free CEU for 1 hour. I don't know the details on how you apply for CEUs. That is not my gig, but I know that you can look it up by state and you can see how hard it is. And maybe right now it's really easy. I don't know. But you can apply for a CEU for your topic. You're going to have some objectives. You're going to have to say how those objectives are being met. If you've ever, well, whenever I speak for an organization like the Home Care Association of Florida, whatever I'm doing, I still have to, they like to give CEUs as much as possible for each event or each block of time. So I have to say what my objectives are, my learning objectives, and how those are being met. So if you need a refresher on that, it's all Googleable, but go to your state and find out how you qualify for giving away CEUs for events. So I highly recommend for professionals, you give away CEUs because your attendance is going to be much higher. Always do this for free. Don't start down the road of doing paid events unless you are a consultant or there's some kind of proprietary information you're going to give away. Just make them free. That's the bottom line here. PowerPoints and slides. You're going to have to come up with your PowerPoints, your slides. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Your meeting venue. You have to decide on a meeting venue. No meeting software is, I mean, there are free versions. Zoom, of course, right now is dominating the space. And yes, I think you can do them for free. There's different caveats and different levels. We don't do the free version, but that's because we have a high volume of online events, and that's because we have a high attendance rate. We have more than 100 that register, so we have to do something a little different. However, if you know it's going to be a small group, that's okay. You might be able to stick with the free version. But decide on your meeting venue. Time limit, just do this for 1 hour max, unless you're doing some kind of boot camp thing. We did do an hour and a half for our first big pivot webinar, But 1 hour is perfectly okay. You do not need to go even 30 minutes. Sometimes a CE, if you're offering CEUs, you have to give an hour of information, whatever, but just keep it to an hour. You have to decide who your speakers are going to be. Do you have multiple speakers? Do you have one speaker? Typically for us, I do all the speaking. Sometimes George will join me. He's on now, but he's on as a viewer. But you need to decide who your speakers are going to be, make sure everybody's on board and gets it. Your invitation and description. You need to make this a little eye-catching when you do an invitation and a description. If you ever look back through all the millions of emails you get from me, you'll notice that some of them attract your attention more than others, especially if my link is wrong and I revise the date or whatever. You'll see those come to you. And then, of course, you're going to have to gather a list of email addresses, whether they are leads or they're consumers or they're actually referral sources. You're going to have that specific email list for that event. So these are your decisions. All right, so let's talk about your invitation. This is the exact invitation inside of Zoom that I put together. I always make sure that everybody knows this is free. The very first question I get asked if I don't put this in there is this a free event? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. This is a free event. So deep dive number 3, using Facebook, LinkedIn, virtual events, webinar, video, online programs to gather your audience. This is a free webinar. And if you're offering CEUs, the next thing should be 1 CEU available for whatever, RN, LPN, PTOT, and then we have a little description and I go over what I am going to talk about, short and sweet. And then I put down the time. Now, for most of you, you're doing this for a local audience, so you don't have to put all these time zones in here. Just make sure that you know what time it's going to be and the date and all of that. I always put this in here. This is Zoom. This is the very top. This is the title and the topic and the description. Actually, to be honest with you, I start here. I kind of already know what I'm going to say, but instead of putting my PowerPoint slides together first, I start with an invitation and I think about what is it that I want to say? What is it that people want to hear? And then as I'm creating my PowerPoint slides, I make sure I hit each of these bullet points. And that helps me organize my PowerPoint better than going the other direction. So yeah, PowerPoints can get long. So this helps me stay on task. This is the middle of the page on Zoom. So you choose your time, and then it gives you a webinar ID, and all these little things that you have to choose. I always allow for Q&A, and I always record the webinar in the cloud. So I would definitely, and you can choose these other things, whatever. I don't usually do these. Enabling a practice session is a great idea. If you've not done this before, especially if you have multiple speakers that are going to be engaging, you want to enable a practice session so that you can go through it and do it without actually turning on the whole webinar. So these are some of the decisions that you need to make, but pretty easy. I also always allow telephone and computer audio. Some people are going to be on their cell phones listening, and on a desktop, they're going to have their screen up so they can see. And then video, you have to decide on that. I turn my video on. I've done many of them with my video off. You just have to make those kinds of decisions. Okay, so now this is the bottom of the page on Zoom. These are all the things that you need to go through. You just take it slow and keep it simple. First of all, webinar size 1,000 attendees. You're not going to have to deal with that. The registration URL, you have to know what that is. If you're using the webinar feature on Zoom, it's $40 a month. You don't have to use the webinar feature. You can do just a virtual meeting, and I think you get up to 25 people. So if you know it's going to be small, you don't necessarily have to use the $40 a month webinar thing. But let's just, for this purpose, we use a registration URL, and then I have a separate one for Facebook and a separate one for LinkedIn. And you'll see some pretty low registration numbers here. That's because I got really behind and didn't put this out until the day before. I don't recommend that. Usually we have lots of registrations from Facebook and LinkedIn, but Mama was behind. So anyway, email settings. You're definitely going to want to look at that. And branding, I'm going to show you that. I don't do polls. I do Q&A. You guys have that integration I don't worry about. And live streaming is optional. I don't do live streaming usually. I live stream it later in the evening. All right, so let's talk about email settings. Invitation emails to panelists. If you're having more than one person speak, you're going to want to make sure you send out your invitations. Confirm email to registrants, send after registration approval. When I do this, I make sure that I get to look at and approve each person who is going to attend. And the reason I do that is because people who are not in the healthcare business try to attend, and I say, no, sorry, this is not for roofers. So anyway, you after registration approval, you got an email from us. I can modify some parts and pieces of that. So I always add our link to our website in case you have more questions or need more information. Reminder email sent out 1 hour and 1 day before the webinar. So a day before and the hour before you got or received, depending on how far in advance you signed up, you received a reminder email. If you click on edit, you can edit that to say anything you wanted to say. You can put your information about your business in there, your link to your website. And then the follow-up emails, I send them out 1 day after the scheduled end date. So when we get done here, this video is going to render and I'm going to make a blog post and I'm going to send everybody the link to the replay inside this email. So I have 1 day to get that done. So usually the evening before, I go in and make sure everything's set up correctly, and those follow-up emails go out the next day with the correct link to the video replay to our blog. So people go to our website, they see the video there, and they can watch it from there. Okay, so lots of things you have to decide on. But it's worth doing this because you can let this thing send out generic emails, but you really want to get every opportunity in for people to know who you are and to interact with you. Under branding, definitely put your logo. Don't be shy about it and put your logo in there. All right, and then I'm skipping over, I don't do polls, Q&A, you already see, integration, I'm not worried about. Live streaming, you can choose to go live on Facebook or on YouTube or Workplace, which I think is Facebook also. I don't do any of those, but once this webinar started, I had the option to turn these on if I wanted to, and you can do that too. All right, let's talk about sending out the invitation. So I am notorious for sending out invitations with typos. It's who I am. But you don't want to do that. So here is my typo full invitation. So this goes out from our CRM. I don't personally do this. I send these out from our CRM. This is part of that organizational process. Once you have everything set up in Zoom or whatever platform you're going to use, you want to make sure you copy and paste that invitation and you send it out to the people who need to receive it. So we do that. We do it through our CRM. So I don't have to sit and, email each person or whatever. We have lots and lots of contacts in there and they all get the same thing. So first one I sent out had the wrong date in it. It said Tuesday, April 28th, which was last week. Got a few emails. What are you talking about? Oh, I corrected that date correction. It's actually tomorrow. Then guess what? Read for deep dive number 3 is supposed to be ready. Now, how I did that, I don't know, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's always, we still had close to 200 people register for this, so I'm good. Anyway, you got the message. Join us online Tuesday, May 5th, and register here. Beep. Okay, remember, 100% free. So we always tell people this is a free webinar. Right here, send the email invitation out 2 weeks in advance, 1 week in advance, and a couple of days in advance, because people will see it. They may even register for it, but they'll forget about it. So you got to keep sending that invitation out. If you only want to send it twice, send it out a week in advance, and then send it out 2 days in advance. All right. These are our friends at Life Care. They have something called Lunchtime with Life Care, and this is a new thing for them. And they were kind of struggling with getting this organized. They weren't having a good attendance. They were kind of jumbled around about how they were doing it. It wasn't really going out to the right people. So I said, okay, let's stop for a second and get this completely organized and get all the steps in your brains so that we can do this and make sure you get a great attendance. So they're in a large metro area. They had on their list, which is actually now bigger, they had 220 referral sources on their email list. So what we did was they scheduled the Zoom stuff. They gave me the text and I redid the email so that it read correctly. So I said, hi friends, blah, blah, blah about their events, register here. So they had to go to, instead of registering on Zoom, they had to register at the actual website, on their website, which is great because that's driving traffic to your website. So we set up a little form on their website to collect registrations. We put in the date, free CEU. 1 CEU credit will be given to RNs, social workers, LPNs, LCPCs, and LNHAs. Perfect. Life Care is hosting a webinar discussing medical and non-medical home health providers are facing in 2020 and the way we, as a 5-star rated medical home health care, are dealing with not only the new changes, but COVID-19 pandemic as well. Documentation, policies, and strategies, Join us. So they sent this out, and I put the registration link at the bottom as well. They had 32 registrations with less than 1 week notice. So we got this together on a Friday. They didn't have everything to me till Monday. Monday, this went out, and they had and we sent it out again on Thursday, the same email to the same people, and they had 32 registrations. So they saw 32 or connected with, in a meaningful way, 32 referral sources in less than 1 week. And now they're doing it again. They just sent an invitation over for us to send out again. They're taking care of all of the back end stuff. We use their CRM account that they have with us to send out all the invitations to the correct people, to all the referral sources only. And every single referral source they put on this list to get this invitation is also now on their newsletter list. So their monthly newsletter will have this information. And the list of all the webinars that they're holding, all the education they're doing is also in their next newsletter. So these are things that are super important. And this involves using a CRM of your choice to send out these emails to everyone who matters to you. 32 registrations with less than 1 week notice is excellent. You want to see 32 referral sources in 1 week. You absolutely do. You want to know they're listening. Now, registrations are different from attendees. So I always say that about half of the people who register will actually attend. It might be a little higher in this case because they know these people and they've done business with them in the past. So they may have a much higher rate of show than I usually do, and that's okay. 32 that, so like 16 or 16 people show up. But if they record those and they say, hey, sorry you missed the webinar, here's the replay, they can still use that as content. They can send it out to folks. It can be in their next newsletter. There's so many opportunities here. So I'm going to go through my favorite process again. We've done decision making. We've created an invitation. We've created an email and emailed it twice. We're going to go on to social media here in a second. Then the actual webinar event, follow up, and post recording. So where can you promote your event before it happens? This is why you need to give yourself 2 weeks. And let's see. Okay, let's see here. So before the event, from your CRM, you need to send emails. You need to post it on your website or blog as a blog post so that it also goes out to folks in social media. Post it to your Facebook business page. Post it to your Facebook personal page, or if you are the owner or if you are the marketer and you don't mind doing that, post it there. If you have or are part of a Facebook group, now you need to ask permission and be sure that it's within the realm of the rules for your group, but you can post it on Facebook groups. Your LinkedIn page. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, next Tuesday, we are going to go through 100% LinkedIn. Yes, it's still a viable method of connecting with people if you do it right. You should have a LinkedIn business page. And if you don't, you should create one and you should connect with it. And that is another place where you can post this. LinkedIn personal. So LinkedIn is a place where we connect with professionals. It's professional to professional networking. So posting your free CEU webinar is important on LinkedIn personal. And then if you're a member of LinkedIn groups, especially groups local to you, especially healthcare groups local to you, definitely post it in there. These are all the different things you can do. Types of content. Obviously, we talked about email, blog post, image with invitation, post multiple times and post different times of the day. Don't be afraid that posting one time, then you've got everybody saw it, you don't want to post again. No. Social media is a very busy place. Post your event multiple times. Boost your post if you want to people who like your page. You never know who you're going to end up connecting with there. So this is pictures of what we posted, a couple different versions. This is a Facebook. Deep dive number 3, webinars tomorrow. So this was posted yesterday at 3 p.m. There's the Zoom link. This is what, because we do branding on that Zoom webinar, I showed you the choose your branding, put your logo in there. So this is how it looks if I don't add an image. It just picks up that branding. You're invited to webinar deep dive number 3. People click on it and then they can register. This is what it looks like on LinkedIn. And this is with an image added instead of that plain Jane Zoom link. And this is why we didn't get a whole lot of registrations, because I didn't have a lot of time. What if you can market your senior care business or home health care business by holding virtual events? You can. It's the new gig. And tomorrow, May 5th, we're going to show you how to do it the right way for free. So there, all they had to do is click on see more or the picture, and it would go straight to the registration page. So Facebook and LinkedIn. And yes, you'll get more responses than I did if you start 2 weeks out. All right, now we're going to talk about your PowerPoint. You have been watching me go through these PowerPoint presentations, some of you for years, and some of you first time right now. I tend to be very wordy on my PowerPoints. You do not need to be wordy. If you know your subject matter, there's no reason for you to have every single thing you're going to say right on the screen. And you can tell that this is large text and it's easy to read. I never have text this large, at least not very often. But the rule of thumb is always less text, more imagery. But any text you do have on your screen should be large. You should be able to read it from across the room. So weird colors and rainbow color stuff and weird stuff, flashy stuff, just forget all of that. Keep it simple. You want to make it look pretty, I get it, but sometimes pretty is just too hard on eyes, and it makes people not want to look at your screen. So large text, easy to read. You shouldn't have to script out your entire webinar on the actual screen. You can have notes next to you. You can have notes somewhere else, but let this be just the main bullet points. Except here, where I give you some webinar tips. Okay, so these are some tips during the actual webinar that I see over and over again, and I just want to give you, and I've done these 1,000 times. I just want to give you a little heads up. Lighting is really important if you're going to show your face. If you're not going to show your face, this does not matter, and that's okay. You don't have to. But I want you to look at this picture. if this person, and you think, oh, beautiful window behind me, no, it ain't beautiful. What happens is the light coming from behind you is a problem. The light needs to show on your face. And then you have the dog barking. The light should show toward your face, not behind you, coming at your screen. So definitely check your lighting out, and being able to log in and do that practice webinar on Zoom is really a great idea. You can check out your lighting and see how you look. What I do is, not only am I sitting in front of a window, but I have a light. It's kind of over to the side, but I have a light that is designed for video, and it's shining on me, and it's cheap, and you can buy them on Amazon. You don't need a giant light. This is an LED light, and it's just one, or they have things called light rings. You can spend very little money. You can even take a lamp, take the lamp shade off, and set the lamp in front of you looking at you, and that will help too. So light needs to be staring at your face, not behind you. Raising your camera up. This is one that, so here's what you don't want to do, because this is ugly, right? You want to make sure your camera is equal to you, or maybe even a little above you. So when you look up at it, if you're looking up at your camera a little bit, then you actually look thinner in the face than if you're looking down at your camera and you're like, oh. So raise your camera. You might have to use books. I have mine attached to my monitor, my big monitor screen, and so it's about even with my eyeballs. If I could raise it up, I would, but that's what I'm working with right now. So look up at the camera or look straight at the camera. Test your video before the call. See what you look like on the video. See what's in your background. If you've seen some of these bloopers on Facebook or blooper reels on YouTube of people running by half naked behind somebody, or like I usually have a kid coming out of a room, or, you know, and no one's naked, but, you know, they know when I'm getting on a call. Let everyone in your home or in your office know that you're about to do a webinar. Shut the door, try to be in a quiet place, but look and see what's behind you, because we often forget to do that, and there might be something behind you that you, or maybe it's just messy. I was watching a video interview the other day. So a news reporter was interviewing somebody from the AP, Associated Press, and he's in his bedroom. Of course, they're all doing social distancing. He's in his bedroom, which is fine, but his bed's not made, and there's clothes piled up all over the bed. And this is a professional reporter doing a story on something, I don't remember what, and he had written an article for the AP, and she was interviewing him about it, and he looked like a complete disaster behind him. Now, you don't have to be perfect by any means, but make your bed. Oh my God, clothes everywhere. And I thought, is this a blooper? Because this is so crazy. This man is a professional, and he's got this crazy junk going on behind him. Okay, and then find a quiet place and your best headphones. You don't have to use headphones. You'll see I'm not using headphones, but you see this? This is excellent audio. You don't have to have this, but you need to make sure people can hear you. The audio portion of any webinar is also a big problem. You need to test your audio. And if you don't have a professional mic, which you can, again, buy on Amazon really cheap, like 60 bucks, 50 bucks. If you don't have one of these, a headset is fine to wear. Nobody cares really what you look like, especially if you're not going to be on camera. Who cares? And with a built-in microphone. And I always ask, you guys know this, before the webinar starts, can you hear me and can you see my screen? Raise your hand. And so people raise their hand. I know you can hear me. I know you can see my screen. And that's how I know that, that's how I know that you can hear me and see me. So important to test, important to ask. Don't feel afraid to do that. But headphones are great. I used to use headphones all the time for my interviews. You can do that. Okay, so after the webinar is over, so what you should know is that we record, I I keep doing this. We record ours in the cloud. So right now this is recording. Zoom records it in the cloud. It's not coming to my desktop. I highly recommend recording them in the cloud. They're all encrypted now. I'm not talking about anything private. If you're using these for private meetings, that might not be what you want to do. But anyway, here we are and we're recording. I take this recording and I edit it when we're done. So I add our intro, our outro, which is just a little short 3-second video that's got our logo in it, and it just tells you that this is starting. And then if there's anything I need to edit out right at the beginning, like testing of the sound and that, I edit that out, and then we go. Now, I use Camtasia to edit my recordings, but you can use just about anything in the world. If you upload your video to YouTube, to your YouTube channel, then you can edit it right inside of YouTube, and you can cut out any pieces that you don't need. Or let's see, who else? I mean, there's tons of editing, easy peasy editing stuff online. Camtasia tends to be a little expensive, but if you're just going to do this for a couple of webinars, you don't really need that. And you may not want to edit anything at all. Just let it roll. Whatever you want to do is fine. I always record these. So once I record it, I do a couple of things. I upload it to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn. You can't upload it to LinkedIn unless it's under 10 minutes. I upload it to as many places as I can, and then I put it on our website as a blog post. I send this entire video to rev.com, R-E-V, that's it, just R-E-V.com. Rev.com will do your transcription for you. They are the cheapest and most accurate. I pay for transcription of these events so that I can put the entire transcription, talk about a long blog post, I can put the entire transcription on the blog post, and I can send that out in the link to that in an email. So not only can you watch the video, but you can read exactly what I'm saying as I go. There's also, some people like to put, the CC, the words across the screen. You can do that too. You can pay Rev to give you that information, or you can just have it. If you do an automatic transcription or an automatic transcription, like have the computer do it, there's lots of resources for that, but it's usually pretty wrong. I don't speak clearly enough for it to be correct. I need a human to listen to me talk and transcribe professionally, but you can do an auto transcription as well. So there's all kinds of options there. So take that video, upload it to YouTube, to Facebook, your business page, make sure everybody has access to it, take it and have it transcribed, or don't, whatever you want, make it into a blog post. Put it on your Facebook personal page, your Facebook groups, your LinkedIn page, your, wherever you can, YouTube, Roku, AmazonFire.com. We have 2 channels on Roku and AmazonFire.com, or Amazon Fire TV, I'm sorry. And those always get our videos too. So if you go, I know that's weird, but if you go to Roku.com and you look for the Valerie V Show or Valerie V Show Marketing, you'll find us there. You can add our channel and you can see anything that we've done that we want posted there on your big TV. I'm sure that's what you're going to go home and do right now. Amazon Fire TV is the same way. We have the Valerie V Show Marketing, and you can go there and you can install it under apps on your Amazon Fire TV, and just like CNN or HBO, you can go watch all of our episodes. So that works. Types of content: email, blog post, video, post multiple times, post different times of the day. Make sure everybody has access to that replay. Don't hold back. They all want to see it. Some people will watch it on their lunch break. Some people will watch it after work. Some people will only listen to it. I didn't even put that on here. We also have podcasts on almost every podcast venue you could think of, including iTunes. We have a podcast channel, and you can go there and listen to anything I did on video. You can also listen to it in audio without the visuals. But we have tons of people who do that. They do it in the car. They do it while they're running, walking, after work. They might listen to one of our shows. Totally worth it. Make use of everything. One video is amazing content. Don't forget, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A section. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A section and I will go through and answer them. Okay, back to our little sales funnel, no follow-up failure. So now I've put out my invitation. I have all these leads coming in. I'm sending out event reminders, putting them on my newsletter list, and this is all working really well. So now it's up to you to figure all this out and do it. So this guide should have helped you understand more about doing a virtual event. Use any video provider you want. I recommend Zoom just because it's easier to use and it's less costly. There's also GoToMeeting. There's also Facebook says they're coming out with something, but you need some. There's also one called BeLive. BeLive is going live though. Even though you can share your screen, you can do lots of stuff, you're actually going live on Facebook. But you still get the video and all this other stuff. I like people to register. I like to have their contact information, and I like to be able to send out the replay. So type in your questions. Here's what I have for you. Ask questions via the chat feature or Q&A. I prefer Q&A. Read more about holding virtual events. So if you go to our website at asnmarketingplan.com/virtual, there's a blog post at that address. And that address shows you everything I just talked about. It's not done yet. It's created. It's there. But once I get this video back from, maybe an hour or so, Zoom will send me the recording of this. I will post the recording and I will post the transcript tomorrow. Excuse me, when the transcript is available. So you'll have a full guide on how to do virtual events. What I want you to know too is that if you need our help doing virtual events, we can help with that. You have to be someone who uses our CRM so we can set everything up for you, and preferably a current client. But we can help you set up your virtual event, and we can help you get that word out, get an excellent attendance rate, and make sure you avoid follow-up failure. So if you are a client, or if you're not our client, either way, you're welcome to go to asnmarketingplan.com/virtual. And in the next day or so, you'll be able to see all of the things in step-by-step with all these slides, and the complete video will be there for you. You can go there now. It just tells you that to come back soon. And of course, we will send this out as a replay with a link to the actual blog post. Okay, so I'm going to answer questions in just a second. Go ahead and ask your questions. Next week on Tuesday, using LinkedIn for maximum contact with referral sources and business owners. You can register for it now. This is going to be 100% LinkedIn everything. We haven't done this in a few years. LinkedIn's gone through some changes, and it is still a viable resource and a viable place for you to connect with other people. You have to work at it a little bit, but you can use LinkedIn to increase your referral sources, to reach out to your referral sources. So next week, 100% LinkedIn everything. If you want to register now, it's bit.ly/LinkedIn Valerie V. That's the registration link. But of course, I'm going to send that out just like I do everything. So that is deep dive number 4, and that is next week. So let's go back here. asnmarketingplan.com/virtual if you want to see all the steps. And I'm going to answer some questions. The first question is, do you use MailChimp? Well, no, you can use MailChimp. That's an option. You have to know how to use it to, schedule things and do that. That's perfectly okay. Nope, we have a CRM called Smart CRM. We offer it to all of our clients and anybody who wants to have an account there. It's pretty cheap compared to other CRMs, and that's what we use not only to get registrations, but to keep track of who has registered and who to follow up with and all of those things. So there's a lot of parts and pieces that go into it. So no, we don't use MailChimp, but if that is what you want to use, you certainly can. What file format does the recorded Zoom file get recorded to? It's always an MP4. So MP4 is what you get back. If you want to edit that, you can use any editing software you want for an MP4. It's fine. MP4 is it also. I also noticed this. This is a techie geeky thing. If for some reason you get a movie file or a video file that you are having trouble with, if you upload it to YouTube, because YouTube takes just about anything, and then download it back to your computer, you can get the file format you want. I don't know. I've had to do that a few times for whatever reason, so you can do it. But Zoom is going to give me an MP4, which I upload directly to our podcast software, and the podcast software only takes the audio file. So it, boom, is a podcast without me having to do anything at all. Can you recommend some mics and cameras to use for your laptop? Well, if your laptop has a camera, you probably want to use whatever you already have. If it doesn't, I can put a link to, I'm using a Logitech camera. I think it's a 920. And I want to say, I don't even know how much it costs. It was like less than $50, I think. So a Logitech camera is one that you can plug into your computer, and it does really nicely. It installs a little bit of software so you can adjust your settings. Zoom, this is a nice one, has a feature that you can check under your personal settings that enhances your beauty. So what it is doing right now, it's putting a filter over my face so you don't see every line and every, it's sort of like softening the picture you see so I don't look like a crazy person in HD, because I do look like a crazy person. And then microphones, let's see. I don't remember what kind this is. I've had many. Oh, wait. This is a Fifine, F-I-Fine, F-I-F-I-N-E, Fifine. But snowballs are good. You can go online and look at, you can have a stand-up mic, or you can have, I have one on this on an arm. You can have one that clips to your lapel of your shirt or your collar of your shirt. That's fine too. So there are many mics out there. Don't spend a ton of money on them. Just make sure that you get one that's, giving you enough audio, and just practice with it a little bit. Sometimes the most difficult part is choosing a topic that would be interesting to referral partners. Do you have any guidance with topics? Sure. It's anything that you can do that offers, think about CEUs for a second. Anything you can do that offers a CEU. Right now, COVID-19 is a great topic. Coronavirus, safety precautions. I don't know, anything you can do that offers a CEU. Maybe it's, maybe you have a guest on, an estate planning attorney. Another big thing right now is everybody's interested in having a will or expressing their last wishes, because what if they do get sick? And more so than ever, that's coming up. So if you have a partner, a marketing partner who's an estate planning attorney, someone in your community who has some kind of specific experience, maybe you know a registered nurse who's working on the front line in the ER that just happens to be somebody you know or you've networked with in the past, ask them if they'll come on and talk about the realities of what they're seeing. All those things. I'm happy to send out some more information to our clients about different topics. But I think that anything you can do that is educational, timely, and gives them a CEU is probably going to get you the best attendance. So I would highly recommend those things, even if it's just fall prevention, even if it's proper hand washing and mask wearing, and when do you really need to wear a mask and when do you not. Even for consumers, we get so much information that you need to do this. No, you don't need to do this. Yes, our state is open. No, our state is not open. Yes, you can go to a restaurant. No, you can't go to a restaurant. We're in phase 1. We're in phase 3. Everybody gets bombarded with these messages. So a trusted healthcare provider like yourselves, home care, senior care, when you are an expert in your field, you know what people should be doing right now. You know what you and your staff are doing. When you can convey that to a consumer, that's really helpful. So if you're going to do a consumer webinar, you can do some really interesting things that help seniors and their family members know more about why home care is safer, why, what precautions you guys are taking, what they should be doing to protect themselves. So consumers and referral sources both, anything educational, and then for referral sources, CEUs. Hope that helps. Does your Smart CRM communicate with your internal database, or is that something separate? Our Smart CRM communicates with every single person that we want it to communicate with. So it can communicate with our staff, it can communicate with our caregivers, it can communicate with referral sources, leads, whatever we want. So yes, everybody. And that's one thing that people use our CRM for a lot is mass texts and mass email to their employees to fill shifts, to talk about what kind of job openings they have. Maybe they're offering a referral bonus for new employees, if you refer in a new employee. So if you are communicating with people by text, I don't recommend that for your referral sources or consumers. But if you are doing that for your internal staff to get a message out quickly, it's perfect for that. Let's see, Susan, how you have a webinar on how to set up a drip campaign every month. Susan, type that in again. How you have a webinar on how to set up a drip campaign every month. Can I have a webinar on that? Sure. Do you use virtual surveys during Zoom presentations? How does this work? I don't use virtual surveys. But what happens is if you're going to do that, you've already set it up in advance and you say, hey, everybody, and it kind of comes up on their screen or it blinks and they can open it or it'll just pop up on their screen while they're watching you. And then they can answer the questions on the virtual webinar. I've had that been a speaker and I've had people do those virtual surveys. So they've actually put that together in advance of the webinar. They've asked a few questions, like I could ask you right now how many people are interested in having a one-on-one consultation on setting up your virtual event. And then you guys could answer me yes, no, or whatever. So I could do that. I could set it up in advance. Don't usually do that because I'm the one speaking. But if you do have a speaker, or if you're the speaker and you need to get feedback on how well the topic was received or how you did, then you can set that up in advance with questions, just like you would if you went to a conference and they're asking you, well, how did the speaker do? Set it up in advance and you just click on something on your little dashboard and it shows up on everybody's screen. They can take the survey and you're done. So yes, that absolutely does happen. All right. Anybody else have any questions or need any help with anything that has to do with virtual marketing? Please investigate Zoom, investigate some topics that you could speak to. What are you seeing out there? If you're seeing things, that are different from the usual, which I think we all are, then I believe that you could come up with even a short presentation, not only on what you guys are doing to help, but what other people should be doing to keep themselves safe, and maybe ask around, have someone come on who is a marketing partner and do one with you for CEUs. Maybe you have a local nursing home, a local assisted living facility, and have that marketing partner come on and do a little bit of a presentation on how they're coping with what's happening right now or what they're seeing revenue-wise or whatever it is you want to talk about. So there's always a ton of creative options out there. Thanks, everybody. That is it for today. Be sure to visit us at asnmarketingplan.com/virtual for more information, and I will have all of this posted later today. Thanks, everybody. Bye.